Close it out so we don't get feedback here in a minute. So if you guys can let me know if you know that it's live when it shows up.
It says live YouTube.
Okay.
Let me check YouTube.
Close it out so we don't get feedback here. There we go. All right. So it's still recording or still being live. All right. So then we'll go into record here. And as soon as I find out where to put that one at. There it is. Okay.
Yeah, you're on.
There we go.
All right. Well, welcome everyone to our reading of A Million Little Things. And there's not a million of us, but we're going to do our best. So for those of you not familiar with this show, it's a story of four couples, essentially, and that are really good friends, and the trials and tribulations that we'll see. And this will be the pilot episode of A Million Little Things. But before we get into the script, let's introduce ourselves. And I'll just kind of, if you could let us know your name and your pronouns, where you are located, and what parts you're reading tonight, and where people can find you if they are interested in hiring you for anything. So let's go ahead and start with Vicki.
Hello, I'm Vicki Dykes. My pronouns are she, her. I'm from Central Alberta, a small town, Penhold. And tonight I will be reading for Eddie. I'm going to be a reporter on TV, Sophie, and I'll be doing actions and descriptions in the second section. Where can you find me? I'm on YouTube under the name Vicki Dykes, and I'm also on Instagram. I'm YogaGramma10.
Awesome. All right, we'll go down to Judy.
Hi, I'm Judy Bell, and I live in Burbank, California. I will be reading tonight the roles of John, Dr. Martin, Delilah, Lupe, Fan, and an offstage man. And Judy Bell, JUDIBELL, just about everywhere that there is social media. I guess nobody else existed with that name, so I got lucky.
Wow.
Sometimes there's a C in the middle, so sometimes it's Judy C. Bell, but either way, the Judy with an I usually helps. And I am on IMDb as well.
Okay. And then Tamir, am I pronouncing that right?
Yes, that is my name. That's how you pronounce it. I go by he, him. I'm from Montreal, Quebec, Canada. And you can find me on the internet by Googling my name. Nowhere special. I'm playing Gary, Daniel, and Caleb.
And you have actions and descriptions in Act 4.
That's correct.
Okay. And last but not least, Heather Lee Cameron.
Hello, my name is Heather Lee Cameron. I'm an actor, I'm a writer, I'm a freelance journalist, and I'm an independent filmmaker. Today I will be reading Catherine in the teaser, Regina in Act 1, Regina, Catherine, and Leader in Act 2, Regina and Catherine in Act 3, Regina in Act 4, and Action and Descriptions, and Regina and Security Guard in Act 5. I'm doing quite a bit. You can find me on my YouTube channel, The Stormin Latter-day Saint, or on Facebook under Heather Lee Freelancer, or on Instagram under Heather Lee Cameron, or on Twitter, or X, it's called, I guess, under Chameleon77771, 5 7s and 1. Yeah, there's a lot of social media links. I'm on a lot of social media. I'm on IMDb, I'm on Actors Access. You can also contact me at heather.lee.cameron@gmail.com if you want to. I've got a lot of stuff on the go, both in acting and screenwriting, and I'd love to share it all with you when it comes out. And I'm from Lethbridge, Alberta. So
at the end, we'll maybe have a chance to share a bit more of that, Heather.
And then I didn't know what you wanted me to share.
No, that's fine. That's great. So let's see. And I'm Kat Wilson, she, her, out of Gig Harbor, Washington State in the U.S. And tonight I'll be reading the roles of Rome, Maggie, and Ashley, as well as a couple of bit parts of the priest and a voicemail from Dr. Martin. And I'll be starting off with the actions and descriptions in the teaser and then Act 1. So we'll get our script up here on the screen and we will go ahead and start reading.
You are the
And-
antithesis of Doc Martin, so it's funny that you're playing a character named Doc Martin.
That's funny. So I probably need to make this a little larger, right? Let's try.
Okay.
Of course, it did change. Here, let me try opening first. Okay. And then it might be easy to read. Oh, come on. Where are you at? There we are. Okay. Is that large enough or you want it a little larger?
Yeah, that's better there.
It's better?
And you can close
Okay.
that sidebar on the left.
This one here.
Yeah.
All right, let's get rid of that. Anything else I need to close? Let's see, something over here. Maybe. That is not what I wanted to do. Back out of there. Okay. All right, I think we're all set now. So we'll go ahead and start with A Million Little Things pilot, written by DJ Nash. ABC Capital Entertainment, January 10th, 2018. A cold open. Friendship isn't a big thing, it's a million little things. Interior upscale high-rise real estate office day. Chiron on John, tight on a framed photo on a desk. John with his beautiful wife Delilah and their kids, Sophie, age 15, Daniel, age 10, who are even more handsome than their parents, if that's possible. The camera pans to another photo. 4 friends at a Bruins game. The real Bruins, the Boston Bruins. John is with Eddie, Gary, and Rome. Their seats are amazing and their smiles are huge. They're hanging out shoulder to shoulder, the way guys do. As we pan the photos, we hear the following.
I'm not asking you to give me the lease for free. Yes, that would be ridiculous. I'm telling you to overcharge me for the rest of the building and look the other way on the rent for that space.
An empty dry cleaning box lands on the desk. Pull out to find John, in his 40s, as charismatic as he is competent. On his cell phone, standing what has to be the nicest corner of the office on Boston waterfront, complete with its own balcony. He buttons his fresh shirt with the same attention to detail John approaches everything in life.
You can't or you won't.
As he ties a full Windsor with impressive precision, he gives a playful wink to his assistant Ashley, who has just brought him a fresh cup of coffee.
Thanks, Ash. I had to work late last night. Take a long lunch. Because if you can't, Alan, I want to speak to the person who can. And if you won't, then we need to spend our time talking about why you won't.
Ashley smiles at John's favorite go-to move. As she exits, John removes 2 cufflinks with his initials from a small jewelry box.
Look, I always say everything happens for a reason.
He slips on his suit jacket, grabs a blue envelope from his desk, and steps onto the balcony to take in his view.
There's something I need to get to, so I have exactly 5 more minutes to spend on this. But just so we're clear, at the end of this call, we will either have a deal or we will never have a deal.
John smiles as he hears the flustered reaction. Some might argue he owns his town. Everyone would agree he owns his call. We switch to the interior of Eddie and Catherine's bedroom, day. A duplex in Charleston, a blue-collar suburb of Boston, a much more modest life. Eddie, 30s, the coolest dad in the carpool line, stands in front of his and her closet on the phone. He frantically takes clothes, still on hangers, and stuffs them into a suitcase. Next to it is a guitar case. This guy is out of here.
No, today's the day. I can't do this anymore. And I want to be with you. Catherine will be at the office till she picks Caleb up from school, and which means that in exactly 5 hours and 12 minutes, she's going to come home and want to get takeout Thai food again. Oh, I'm from Poughkeepsie. Poughkeepsie. My people weren't bred to eat this much Penang curry.
As he listens, his expression becomes serious.
I don't know what I'm going to tell Caleb. Oh, maybe that Daddy needs to be happy. I mean, don't I deserve to be?
Just then, from the foyer, we hear,
Eddie,
Shit. In here.
Eddie steels himself. He thought he would come to this moment, but apparently the moment has come to him. Exterior of Eddie and Catherine's foyer. Same. Eddie's wife, Catherine, in her 30s, crosses toward the bedroom.
I forgot my briefcase. Didn't you notice I left it?
Interior Eddie and Catherine's bedroom, continuous. As she enters, we see that Eddie has put everything back. The suitcase is gone, the clothes hung up. No longer on the phone, Eddie sits on the bed, casually tuning his guitar.
Oh, hey, you. This is a fun surprise.
It's right in front of you. Great. I just lost an hour out of my day. Now I'm not going to have time to pick up Caleb. You'll have to get him.
She grabs her phone from her briefcase and checks her email.
Oh, I'm teaching a guitar lesson at noon, and then I was going to.
Unbelievable. She didn't file the motion like I told her to. Idiots. They're all idiots. So you got Caleb?
Sure. Hey, for dinner, I was thinking I'd pull out the pasta machine and make some handmade linguine.
Let's just order Thai food.
Love it.
Interior Mass General exam room day, a doctor's office. Gary, in his late 30s, sits on exam paper in boxers, shirtless. His arms are folded, self-consciously covering 2 scars on either side of his chest. Chiron Gary. As he waits for the doctor, he looks around, perturbed by what he sees. A medical poster on the inside cross-section of a woman's body with the headline, Understanding Breast Cancer. Another poster, also featuring a drawing of a shirtless woman, shows how to give a self-breast exam. He notices that everything in this damn room is geared toward women, branded with that fucking iconic pink ribbon. The doctor enters, holding an X-ray up to the light.
Sorry to keep you waiting, Gary. Just wanted to review your CAT scan.
Your poker face is impressive, Doc. Annoying as shit, but impressive.
Hilarious. It confirms what I suspected.
The doctor's phone vibrates. He answers it and holds up a 1-minute finger.
Dr. Martin. What? No, balsamic vinaigrette. Yes, they do. I get salad there 3 times a week. It's right next to edamame. Well, are you looking at the edamame?
He rolls his eyes to Gary, looking for sympathy that he's never going to get.
Now, turn your head 15 degrees to the right. That brownish liquid next to the edamame, that's the...
Sorry to interrupt what sounds like a super important salad conversation, but quick question.
Mm-hmm.
My cancer crack?
I'm sorry, what? Oh, sorry. Interior of Rome and Regina's house day. A pristine brownstone on Beacon Hill. No child has ever been here. As the camera pans, CNN plays an expressive TV mounted above the fireplace.
And so, more than 3 years after the crisis began, the class action lawsuit is once again making water in Flint, Michigan front page news.
I'm on Rome. The camera lands on Rome, late 20s, distraught. He signs a note he's written on yellow legal paper and recaps the pen. He opens several prescription bottles. As he pours his assorted pills onto the counter, we realize what this is. He takes a deep breath as he decides if he's really going to go through with this. He is. Rome takes a glass from the shelf. As he opens a fridge, on the door we see an adorable selfie of him and his wife Regina taken as they picnicked on Boston Commons. Unlike Eddie and Catherine, Rome and Regina truly love each other. He grabs the Brita and pours, but the Brita is empty. He fills his glass with water from the faucet. Who cares about tap water when you're about to...
For months, Flint residents were unaware that water from their own faucet was silently killing them.
Shit. He pours out the water and fills the Brita. but the water drips so slowly. The filter hasn't been changed in forever. Big exhale. Shit like this is exactly why he needs to kill himself. While he waits, he swallows the first pill without water. His phone rings. He looks at the caller ID. It's Gary, the guy with cancer. He hits decline. He pours a tiny bit of water that has filtered through and downs a second pill. His phone rings again. Gary. Decline. Fuck it. He shuts off the TV and fills his glass with tap water. As he tosses a dozen pills in his mouth, his phone rings again. Gary. Losing this test of endurance, he hits speaker, and through a mouthful of pills, he impatiently says, "What?" Interior Mass General Exam Room, intercut. Gary still on the exam table, still shirtless, but now alone.
You're not going to believe this.
As he speaks, we cut to the interior of John's office balcony, a flashback a few minutes ago. We hear no sound in this scene. John presses end on his call with a proud smile. Clearly, he got the deal he wanted. As John takes in his view, the camera pans from the balcony into his office where, unbeknownst to him, Ashley returns with his mail. Her face drops like she's seen a ghost. We see, but we cannot hear Ashley shout, "No!" The camera pans back to John, but he's no longer there.
John just killed himself.
The sound kicks in just in time for us to hear the unmistakable thud from 23 floors down, followed by a car alarm going off. Ashley rushes to the rail. Interior of Rome and Regina's house is the same. Stunned, Rome takes us in for a heartbeat and then spits out the dozen pills. We cut to main titles, A Million Little Things. Act 1. Interior, the Boston Garden, Rome's phone POV, night. Note, this scene will be shot both from Rome's phone POV and conventionally, and we will intercut judicially. Cell phone video footage, mid-game. Rome holds his phone out to take a selfie of Gary, Eddie, and himself, all in Bruins gear, sitting in their seats. The aisle seat next to Gary is empty. Rome lines up the shot, unaware the phone is actually on video and recording, thus providing us with this footage. Rome's a bit distracted because the Bruins just scored a goal. Sirens, lights, and Boston cockiness fill the garden.
Way to go, Pasternak.
They're back in it. Never count my Bruins out. Forget what I said about them sucking.
Guys, let's get a photo. Do yourself a favor, Ed, and hide that ridiculous necklace. Defiant, Ed adjusts his leather strap necklace so the yin-yang charm is even more prominent.
Should we pretend we're eating pizza like we're in one of those Little Caesar commercials?
Gary and Ed mime, pulling a long piece of cheese from a slice. Hey, directing those is harder than it looks. That crap coagulates in like 2 seconds. Eddie and Gary laugh. Rome does too. They live for this.
Damn it. I can't believe John is missing this.
Saw it. And watch your potty mouth, sunshine. You're a lady. Love the necklace, by the way.
Rome tilts his phone up, revealing John carrying a pile of hot dogs and a drink carrier. Eddie now self-consciously tucks his necklace into his shirt. As John takes his aisle seat, we realize that this footage is from before he died, a week ago, the last game they went together.
Pasternak's on fire. Mr. Actuary, do the math. What's his life worth?
Gary scribbles down some numbers on the back of a napkin.
He's just making rookie salary now, but he's only 21. If he plays till he's 35, barring any permanent injuries, reasonable endorsement deals, I'd say 75 mil, 40 present value.
The point is, don't hit him with your car.
Guys, I just want one photo of us from opening night. Anyway, we can...
Beer for Little Caesar? One for No Tits McGee?
Eddie laughs.
And a ginger ale for our stay-at-home mom.
Now Gary laughs. Picks up a miniature hockey stick from his seat.
What the hell is this? Another charm for your necklace?
I promised Caleb I would bring him something back from the game.
Wow, you are a better dad than me. Hey, while you're valuing lives, what's Mr. Mom's life worth?
Oh, that is a tough one. Let's see. Was lead singer in a prominent local band less than a decade ago.
For Kings of Leon.
Open for Kings of Leon right there.
Eddie folds his arms. Okay, he may have mentioned this before.
But you were too drunk that night to remember it, or the lyrics to your biggest song. Been a stay-at-home dad,
Who
Teaches
teaches
guitar
teaches
guitar
guitar
lessons.
You
You all suck.
And you still owe me for Sophie's lesson this week. Oh, that's not my line. Sorry.
That's okay. Gary
And
writes a
it-
big 1 and 4 on a napkin and holds it up.
$14. 8 present value.
Point is, hit me with your car.
Eddie and the guys all laugh as Eddie checks his phone.
Is that another text from Catherine wondering when you're getting home to clean the bolts on her neck?
Eddie nods. We can see his face. She has broken him.
Buddy, just move out.
Guys, 1 photo. Opening night. The 4 of us. Work with me. Still standing, John uses a height difference to put his groin in Eddie's face.
Yes, by all means, let's commemorate this incredible friendships.
John takes a seat next to Eddie, leaning in, dead serious.
Ed, if money is the reason you're staying, I'll write you a check tonight. Life is too short. Just be happy.
The camera captures Eddie looking at John, conflicted, but appreciative of this very generous and obviously sincere offer.
Hey, Big Shot Director, you're on video.
Oh, damn it! The camera stops, freezing on John's face that has just said, just be happy. We are now in the interior of Rome and Regina's brownstone, back to present day. The frozen frame. Pull out to reveal it's on a computer monitor. Rome sits at the keyboard, flanked by Gary and Eddie. Eddie looks at the screen, still taking in this advice. There is a hushed, intense moment of silence as they take in the friend that they miss so dearly. Finally,
That was 4 days ago. How does this happen?
they continue to stare at the screen, looking for an answer. It still doesn't make sense to me. He's supposed to be here.
Yeah. Knowing some guy he'll call who can fix all this.
I'm going to church Sunday.
They turn and see Regina, late 20s, Rome's wife, loving yet one of the guys. She's in a chef's apron, carrying 3 beers and a soda.
Because Jesus is gonna have to explain this one to me.
She hands a soda to Eddie and a beer to Gary and Rome. She stands frozen, realizing she accidentally brought an extra beer.
I'm so sorry.
Rome gives her a loving squeeze. This is their new reality.
It's okay. I'll have his.
She smiles and hands Gary the beer. As she grabs a plate of appetizers, we see a kitchen filled with food she's been prepping.
How's the video coming along?
Oh, good. I'm not sure a clip of John encouraging Eddie to leave Catherine is right for the funeral.
Unless tomorrow we're burying your marriage as well. Sorry. For the joke about the funeral, I have no problem taking a shot at your marriage.
Noted.
Hey, you do what you need to do.
Eddie smiles, appreciative.
But I think I speak for all of us when I say we're glad you decided to divorce yourself from that douchey necklace.
Much needed laugh. Eddie feels his neck, surprised his necklace is gone.
Yeah.
Gary has crossed the kitchen island, peeled back the saran wrap, and is going to town on appetizers.
Gina, these are amazing. What is this, pork? No, veal. Nope, pork.
Hey, gee, stop. Those are for after the funeral.
For the guests capable of actually expressing emotion.
Yeah. For the guests actually capable of expressing emotion.
After what Gary had to do, he can have as many as he wants. I can't imagine having to tell her.
So we cut to another flashback, this time exterior of John and Delilah's driveway. Gary stands in the driveway as Delilah, in her 30s, stunning and poised as always, pulls up in her SUV. She gets out with the Starbucks, pleasantly surprised to see Gary. She looks around for John, who she assumes is with him. Her smile vanishes as she senses Gary's rare, serious tone. We see, but don't hear him convey the news. Delilah collapses into Gary's arms, dropping her latte. It falls to the ground. Interior Roman Regina's brownstone, back where we left them. Back with the group, Gary once again masks his emotion.
By the way, if delivering horrific news is on your bucket list, take it off. Not as great as you think.
Interior John and Delilah's walk-in closet. Like everything in John's life, his house is first class. Delilah grabs a black dress. As she turns, she stops short at the sight of John's suits hanging neatly in a row. Among them is an empty hanger, the last suit he wore. She becomes filled with emotion, sorrow coupled with rage. She refuses to give in to this, steels herself, and exits. Interior John and Delilah's master bedroom suite, continuous. Daniel, not your typical 10-year-old boy, debates between two ties, holding each one up to a suit laid out on the bed.
Stripes? No question.
Sophie, more punk than in the picture we saw on her dad's desk, sits on the floor, playing guitar. Delilah enters, having regained her composure, determined to be strong for her kids.
Where are my sunglasses?
As she searches, we see her notice that Sophie hasn't laid out her clothes. We also see her decide not to engage.
Why are we riding in a limo?
Sophie, sweetie, I just need to know that you know what you're wearing tomorrow. Because, honey, I want the three of us to be together. So, should I pick something for you?
Sophie continues to strum, lost in her own world. Her father dying doesn't change the fact that she's a teenager. Fine. Delilah will pick. Delilah starts to head out of the room.
I want to play a song for him at the service.
Delilah turns back. Sophie softens.
I mean, if that's okay.
Delilah stops everything, crosses over, and kneels in front of her daughter.
He would love that.
They look at each other, and just for a second, Sophie stops being a teenage daughter.
Mom?
She looks and sees Daniel pointing to her neckline. Tucked into her shirt are her sunglasses. She hugs Daniel tightly. Interior Rome and Regina's brownstone, the same. Back with the group, Regina studies the images of John as if trying to read his mind.
Why? Why did he do it?
She looks to Gary and Eddie. It's clear they have no idea. As she turns, we see what she doesn't. Rome, very shaken up. Not surprising, given everything that he's going through.
When I spoke to Ashley, she said up until then.
As Gary continues, we flash back to the interior of John's office. No sound, just Gary talking. Police officers secure the area. Through tears, Ashley recounts what happens for a detective. She indicates where she was standing, gesturing with her arms to where John was. And as she makes a hand motion simulating John jumping, she breaks down.
It was a normal day at the office. He wasn't upset. She said he was joking with her.
Interior Roman Regina's house, where we left them. They all try to process this.
Well, how do we know he didn't just fall?
Because he's not 4.
And he looks at Gary to say, not now.
How could he not leave a note?
We see Rome's reaction. For different reasons, he was thinking the same thing. Flashback to the interior of Ashley's outer office. The detective helps Ashley to her chair. As he turns around to get her some water, she notices that her desk drawer is open.
But then again, what could John possibly say in a note that would explain any of this?
Ashley surreptitiously closes the drawer, but not before we see the blue envelope that John had with him when he stepped onto the balcony. On the front, it reads, Delilah. It's been opened. As she exhales, and takes the coffee cup from the detective. We end Act 1, cut to Act 2, and we switch narrators to Vicky.
Interior church rec hall, same. A support group is in session. We pan across 12 women sitting in a circle, finally landing on Gary, who listens sympathetically to a woman. Lupe sharing a bit emotional.
And so I always find a reason for Ruben and I to have the lights off. He thinks I'm really into candles. I'm just not ready for him to see me like this.
Understanding nods from all the women, and Gary, he whispers to an older woman next to him.
I like candles. I like pillows. Sue me.
She smiles. The leader gives Lupe a comforting look.
Thanks, Lupe. What all of us here share is in common is an incredible relief to be in remission. That said, each of us takes on life after breast cancer in a different way. You have to find the way that works for you. Sounds like you're doing that.
Lupe hears this and nods. So does Gary. The leader turns to Maggie, 30s, attractive and fun.
Maggie, did you maybe want to introduce yourself?
Maggie steels herself, very aware of Gary's presence.
Sure. Okay. My name is Maggie.
Hi, Maggie.
And hi, everyone. Honestly, old me would never have come to a group like this. But after this last year,
Sympathetic smiles. Gary leans in, interested in her story.
I'm in a place where excuse me.
Regarding
Why is
Gary.
he here? Why is he here?
Everyone tenses up. This question has come up before.
Men get breast cancer too. It may be only 1% of us, but it's all of me. Believe me, I would have preferred ball cancer. Sorry, Joan. And in case you're wondering, the boys are fine. Also, I promise I only ate one donut.
The others suppress their laughs. Maggie feels horrible, immediately looking at Gary in a different way. She offers a sympathetic, potentially flirtatious smile. He smiles back. He knows exactly what he's doing. Interior Eddie and Catherine's kitchen, same. As Eddie sits at the table working on the eulogy, his son, Caleb, 6, runs around the room with his X-Wing fighter.
R2, I'm circling to go Dagobah, but I see no sign of the one they call Yoda.
Eddie looks and realizes his son is waiting for him. He smiles. Oh, hey, pal.
Dad!
Oh, hear you. I do, but work I must. Hey, pal, I gotta finish this speech. Catherine, who has just returned home, has heard this.
Caleb, sweetie, Daddy needs to do something really important. That's why Mommy came home early.
Eddie looks to Catherine, appreciative at the support. Yeah, Mommy's home just in time to help save the Rebel Alliance.
I want Daddy!
Caleb storms off. We see this gut punch hit Catherine, a rare moment of vulnerability for her. Eddie tries to comfort her. Oh, it's just these voices I do. Oh, he'll be fine in 10 seconds. He just needs to.
I don't know why you're doing the eulogy anyway. Everyone knows Gary's the funny one.
She crosses after Caleb. Eddie lets out a Yoda sigh. In Rome and Regina's bathroom later, Rome sits in bed on his laptop, editing the video for John's service. And from the bathroom, we see Regina flossing.
Hey, babe, I got the information on Kona. For the dates I can get off from the restaurant, the only rooms they had available are oceanfront. It's a bit pricey, but with you directing those pizza spots, we can afford it.
He excels deeply. She sees his response in the mirror.
Rome, just because you're having success in commercials doesn't mean you're not going to make your movie.
Yeah.
As Regina washes her face, Rome pulls up that clip from the guy's last Bruins game. He fast forwards to the end where we hear John say to Eddie,
Life is too short. Just be happy.
Regina looks up, thinking that was Rome talking.
What?
Oh, I said, let's book it.
Interior John and Delilah's house, same. We pan the front room. A tablecloth covers the dining room table. Serving platters have been put out, all ready for tomorrow's reception. As we continue to pan, in the foyer, Sophie's guitar and amps sit, packed and ready. Despite what this family is going through, Delilah, as always, is on top of it all. We hear something. As the camera pans, we find Delilah sitting on the foot of the stairs, sobbing. These two bottom steps are the only place in her life she could take a moment for herself. A beat, and then from upstairs we hear,
Mom, I can't find my dress socks.
Coming, sweetie.
she immediately snaps back into warrior mode and heads upstairs. Interior church rec hall, same. The support group has ended. A cleaning woman vacuums as another stacks chairs. Over the vacuum, we hear the faint sound of a woman moaning with pleasure coming from the men's room. Interior men's bathroom, same. Gary and Maggie go at it. Turns out the men's bathroom at a breast cancer support group is Gary's version of Fonzie's office. His pants are halfway down, her skirt is hiked up. With her sitting on the sink, she's exactly at his waist level, something he probably determined before tonight. As they continue, he unbuttons her blouse. She's a bit hesitant. He stops and then looks at each other. He gets it. She reaches back and unhooks her bra.
Obviously, my boobs are fake.
Obviously, I'm okay with that.
Feeling at ease, Maggie kisses Gary passionately. She reaches for him, lifting up his shirt, and gently he stops her and pulls his shirt back down. It's Gary who is not ready to be that vulnerable. She kisses him even more intensely. Rome and Regina's bedroom, same. Regina has joined Rome in bed. They snuggle up together as they watch a video Rome has edited. Clip 1, Halloween 2012. All 8 of them, Catherine included, impressively dressed up as different Scrabble letters. John takes the lead, moving them into the correct order. It's clear he's the mastermind behind these costumes. They jumble until they form IREGNANT.
Okay, Catherine, hit it.
Catherine, who is the I, turns sideways, causing her very pregnant belly to turn the I into a P, spelling pregnant. Catherine laughs, thrilled to be a part of this group. Angle on, Rome and Regina in bed, watching.
Where did that woman go?
It's why we are never having kids.
Never.
Oh, wait. What about?
Save the best for last.
Clip 2, Halloween 2017. Rome dressed as a slice of tomato. Regina is lettuce. Eddie is the top bun. Gary is the bottom. They all stand there like they're taking 5. Delilah, dressed as a slice of cheese, looks at her watch.
Sorry, guys.
Yeah, we totally blame you.
Eddie folds a slice of pickle costume. Catherine's. Mine's not even coming. Angle on Regina, who looks at Rome.
I'll edit that part out.
A second later, John, dressed as the meat patty, enters.
Sorry, had to take that.
Did you close the deal?
What am I? Just a hunk of meat to you?
Medium well done. The rest of them playfully boo Eddie's pun.
Here's the best part.
Unlike a few years earlier, the friends effortlessly fall into place, forming a cheeseburger. Angle on, Rome and Regina watching nostalgically.
We were nothing without that meat.
They both laugh at Rome's joke, but then quickly realize how meaningful what he said is.
Do you think Delilah, I mean, Did she have any idea her husband was even thinking about doing this?
Her words obviously strike a chord with Rome. He closes his laptop. He needs to tell his wife the truth. He turns to her.
Regina, uh, the thing is, Gina,
She sees her husband is troubled by something and sits up.
What? What is it?
I don't think she had any idea.
She nods in agreement and snuggles back into her husband.
Thank God we're not like that.
We see Rome desperate to tell his wife the truth, but unable, and we end of Act 2.
And switch narrators to Judy.
Oh, okay. Hang on, let me see what else I'm doing in this scene. Sorry.
It's okay.
The only other thing I'm doing is Delilah. Okay, right? Yeah. Got it. Okay. Act 3. Interior First Methodist Church the next morning. Eddie stands at the lectern in front of the crowd. The place is packed. He looks out and sees John's assistant, Ashley, already in tears. Regina and Rome, arms lovingly around each other. Delilah in between Sophie and Danny. She does her best to mat down Danny's cowlick. She looks up, sees Eddie, and smiles, appreciative he's doing the eulogy. A tear falls from her eye.
The thing is, John would want us to be laughing. I mean, seriously, if he were here, he'd be yelling at me to open with a joke. Buddy, make them laugh. They'll let their guard down and then boom, you own them.
Delilah smiles. Eddie's right. Eddie looks around for a beat.
I keep waiting because it feels weird starting without him here. And part of me keeps expecting that at any moment, John's going to hang up that god awful Blackberry he refused to get rid of and come barreling through those doors, telling us about some huge deal he just closed.
As if on cue, the big church doors open. Freaked out, everyone turns to see Gary. He's brought a date, Maggie. Everyone who knows him laughs. He does his best to casually find a seat. Maggie follows. The priest shoots him a judgy look.
There's your laugh, buddy. That's perfect. Oh, John always said everything happens for a reason. He refused to believe in coincidence, even how we met. People always assume John, Gary, Rome, and I went to college together. And John was always quick to say, "You think these douchebags could get into Harvard?"
Laughs from the crowd, especially our gang.
The real way we met was so random. We were all on an elevator and that got stuck. There are two kinds of people on an elevator: people who don't talk to strangers, and John. I mean, he started talking and talking. I mean, he got really deep at some points, and then he found out we were all Bruins fans, even Rome.
Rome smiles, raising a hand to the crowd, as if to say, that's right. I'm the black guy who is a hockey fan.
By the time the Boston Fire Department pried open those doors, John had convinced us to go in on season tickets. 41 home games a year. Well, that was 10 years ago. It should be noted that John refused to collect so much as a penny from any of us for the tickets.
The other three guys smile and nod. That's true.
It should also be noted that John kept a running tally of exactly what we owed. Well, we owed him, reminding us any chance he got.
The other three guys laugh and nod. That's totally true.
Over these past 10 years, we've been through a lot together. One Stanley Cup.
The true Boston fans of the crowd clap.
That's right. Roughly 1,100 pretzels, at least 3,800 beers, one fight with a Maple Leaf defenseman. Relax, it was mostly through the glass. And in hindsight, throwing something into the penalty box was both childish and a waste of $12 nachos.
The crowd enjoys a much needed laugh.
In that decade, our friendship has moved outside the garden. A couple of us had kids.
He gestures to Daniel. He looks out to Catherine, who smiles.
A couple of us got married.
He looks to Rome and Regina, who hug a little harder.
And one of us got sober.
He raises his hand, owning it, the way Rome did a moment ago.
Thanks in part to the maple leaf nacho incident. And John was the one who pulled me aside right after Caleb was born and said I needed to stop drinking. Maybe John was right. Maybe everything does happen for a reason. I haven't had a drink in almost 7 years because that random guy I spent 2.5 hours with on an elevator was there for me. And it absolutely kills me that I wasn't there for you, buddy. You say everything happens for a reason, but I can't find a reason for this.
Eddie breaks down. The priest awkwardly comforts him.
Sorry about saying douchebag.
Catherine looks around, uncomfortable with how much he has shared. There's not a dry eye in the house, except Gary, who stoically hands Maggie a tissue. The priest signals to someone, and an electric guitar and amp are wheeled out.
And now John's daughter, Sophie,
Oh, dear God.
would like to play one of her dad's favorite songs.
Eddie gathers himself and crosses to Sophie, expertly tuning her guitar and setting her up. Gary whispers in Maggie's ear.
If she plays anything by Bruno Mars, I'm burning this place down.
Maggie laughs. The priest looks over to Gary. Sophie straps on her guitar, taking the stage like she's at the Palladium. She starts to play Tracy Chapman's Change.
Sophie, that's Vicky, and you're muted.
If you knew that you would die today, if you saw the face of God and love, would you change? Would you change?
She's impressive. Maggie wipes a tear and whispers to Gary.
How are you not crying? I didn't even know I'm crying.
I was just thinking the same thing.
She laughs again. The priest shoots Gary another look. Again, Gary whispers in Maggie's ear.
Like it's my fault he took a vow of celibacy.
Which just makes Maggie laugh once more. Exterior street later. An aerial shot of the funeral procession leaving the cemetery. A series of quick pops. The limo, same. Delilah with her kids. Sophie's guitar case is with them. Delilah smiles at her daughter, proud. We pan left to Eddie's minivan, same. Catherine drives. Eddie sits shotgun. He makes sure her eyes are on the road and quickly sends a text. Given his secrecy, no doubt it's to the woman he's having an affair with.
He loved you guys.
Startled, Eddie looks up, quickly pockets his phone. He nods. She starts to laugh. He looks over.
That night, my water broke.
Oh, he had that car 4 days.
This loss is so huge, it even brings these two together.
What a waste.
Again, Eddie nods in agreement until...
I mean, how much for all those flowers? They're just gonna die. Why don't people buy plants?
Not today,
She looks over, shocked by his rare tone.
please.
He holds his ground, not breaking eye contact. She turns and looks back at the road. We pan left to Rome's Tesla, same. Rome and Regina ride in silence for a beat.
What are you thinking about?
Everything.
She reaches out and squeezes his earlobe. A sweet moment.
What do you think Eddie and Catherine are talking about?
First of all, I don't think he's talking.
They share a laugh.
The real question is, what do you think Gary and girlfriend number 147 are talking about?
Love, babies. If Adele is gonna tour again.
As they laugh, we pan left to find Gary's 2006 Audi TT. Same. The car's a mess. Dirty laundry and old takeout containers have been thrown in the back seat. It's a college dorm room on wheels. As Gary drives, Maggie opens the glove compartment and starts rifling through. He looks over, intrigued.
So you're just gonna do that?
Well, you're not talking, and I'm trying to figure out who you really are because guy with breast cancer seems to be the least surprising thing about you.
She pulls out a Charleston chew that has been in that glove compartment for more than a few hot days.
Oh, bullseye. These are my favorite.
She rips into it and takes a huge bite.
I wouldn't eat that. I don't even know where it came from.
She pulls out a single tampon and holds it up.
How about this? Any idea where this came from?
He shrugs. Water off a duck's back. She can't help but laugh. Interior John and Delilah's house later. An impressive colonial home in Brookline, a wealthy suburb of Boston. The post-service luncheon. Regina has made all the food and the place looks great. Delilah hugs Ashley, who cries.
I'm so sorry.
Thanks, Ashley. You've been amazing through all of this. These words weigh on Ashley.
It's just that I'm so sorry.
Distraught, Ashley quickly moves on. Maggie gives Gary space to greet Delilah. Delilah looks over to Maggie and waves and then turns to Gary and playfully shakes her head. Of course, he brought a date. Gary shrugs. Gary takes both of Delilah's hands in his and looks into her eyes. A surprisingly serious move for him.
Just to be clear, I don't want to be here.
She smiles at his joke. Just what she needed. They hug. I'll try not to get Starbucks on you this time.
It was really, really hot.
He realizes others are waiting, so he starts to move on, leaning in to whisper one last thing in her ear.
For the record, you're stronger than all of us combined.
Moments like that are why we excuse every other single thing Gary does. As he walks away, he passes Regina.
Where's Rome? Did you get stood up? Oh, that stings.
Oh, he forgot something in the car. And don't hit on her. She's been through enough already.
You are so jealous. But seriously, you think I got a shot there?
Totally inappropriate. The way only great friends can be. Interior Rome's Tesla, exterior street, same. Rome sits in the driver's seat, staring blankly ahead, watching guests enter the house. This could have been his funeral. Eddie taps on the window.
Hey, Ro, you coming?
Totally.
Rome quickly snaps to, grabs his sunglasses, and gets out.
I just forgot these.
Smart. Their living room gets very sunny.
He walks with Eddie and Catherine, who are oblivious to what we just witnessed.
Heard about the new campaign. Congrats. That's amazing.
Rome does his best to mask his lack of excitement.
Yeah, thanks. How's your work?
Crazy, as usual. I'm just rushing in to give Dee a quick hug. I didn't realize this would be an all-day thing.
Rome looks at Eddie and smiles at her choice of words. Eddie shakes his head. I know. Interior John and Delilah's house later. As Catherine talks to Delilah, Rome and Eddie cross with food over to Regina and Gary. Behind them at the buffet table, Maggie fixes herself a plate.
Just confirming that you brought a date to our friend's funeral?
It was the morning. I wanted to buy her breakfast. We ran out of time.
So I made her breakfast.
They all casually rotate to get a better look at Maggie.
How'd you meet this one?
$10 says it's breast cancer support group. And if I'm right, you're gross.
Gary helps himself to some capers off Eddie's plate.
Bingo.
Eddie looks at Maggie again.
I thought Rebecca had red hair.
Rebecca does have red hair. That's Maggie.
So what? You're just working your way around the circle?
Maggie joins them.
Everyone, this is Maggie. Maggie, this is Rome, Regina, and
Eddie. Beautiful eulogy.
made this one cry.
Are we sure that's why she was crying?
The rest of them laugh. Rome turns to Maggie.
Just so you're not left out, a long time ago, these two went on a date.
One horrendous date.
Well, you say it was bad, but did it end with him taking you to a funeral?
Beat. Did she really just say that? Then,
I love her so much.
interior John and Delilah's house later. Regina and Maggie sit chatting. Eddie, Gary, and Rome are at the buffet. They watch Delilah work her way around the room.
I'm gonna go say hi. When I called before, she had so much family over.
Rome crosses to Delilah. As Gary and Maggie wave to each other from across the room, Gary turns to Eddie.
What do you think? Not bad, right?
It's like you date different women from the same police lineup.
Angle on Rome and Delilah.
And obviously, if you need anything from any of us, except Catherine,
She does the best she can.
does she?
A much needed laugh for both of them. Beat. You okay?
I'm gonna say yes, only because I can't have you taking care of me at your husband's funeral.
That's fair.
So I'll call you.
First thing tomorrow morning. They laugh again. Interior John and Delilah's house a little while later. Regina, Maggie, Gary, Eddie, and Rome sit on the couch talking. The conversation has gotten more serious.
Why didn't he get help?
Maybe it's something he couldn't explain. Maybe because he doesn't understand himself. Didn't understand it.
Yeah, to a lot of people, it's still taboo, especially in the Black community.
Rome fidgets and forces a smile. The friends sit there, none of them knowing what the answer is.
Maybe he just lost sight of the horizon.
They turn to Maggie.
I was watching this documentary on JFK Jr. Remember when his plane went down?
July 16th, 1999. It's my birthday.
Your birthday is the 12th, and you're the only grown man ever to exist who celebrates his birthday for a whole week.
Please continue.
Kennedy was with his wife and her sister. They were going to see family. His life seemed perfect.
Because it was.
Kennedy was a novice pilot, and he was flying at night. And then the clouds came in. His instruments were telling him which way was up, but he didn't trust them. The truth was right in front of him, and he couldn't see it. He lost sight of the horizon, and he nosedived. By the time he realized what was happening, it was too late. He couldn't pull up.
What does that have to do with?
That's depression.
We see this hits them all. Rome gives the subtlest of nods. Yes.
Now, maybe he wasn't depressed. Maybe something else was going on. People keep secrets from their closest friends and family. And sometimes you don't even know they have these secrets until an event like this happens.
They take this in for a beat. Then
You'll have to excuse Maggie. During her free time, she fancies herself an armchair psychologist.
True. But during the day, I'm a clinical therapist at Beth Israel, specializing in depression.
Gary does a half laugh, thinking she's kidding, but then catches himself.
Tell me you knew the occupation of your funeral plus one.
Gary shrugs. They all laugh. Exterior John and Delilah's house, front steps later. The rest of the guests have left. Arm in arm with Regina, Delilah walks the gang out.
Let us know if there's anything you need.
Thanks, guys.
We're here for you, Dee.
She says as we're leaving.
Seizing the chance to catch her alone, Rome approaches Maggie.
Hey, can I get your card? Maybe? Oh, that's me too. Sorry. Oh, sure. That stuff you were saying about losing sight of the horizon?
As she pulls a card from her purse, Gary catches the handoff.
Whoa, dude. Just because I dated your wife. You know what? Have at it.
Gary laughs. The rest of the group joins them. Rome is caught.
That movie I want to make has a therapist in it, and I was just going to ask Maggie some questions. And then hit on me, right? Oh, totally.
Have we addressed how much we love this woman?
They ha
I want her card.
Just then the alarm on Rome's phone goes off. Then Gary's, then Eddie's. They each quickly pulled him out. There's a Bruins game tonight, isn't there?
John hated waiting for us.
Made us set an alarm on our phones.
He said he paid for the tickets. The least we could do was show up on time.
They silenced their alarms for what they all realized is the last time. A beat, then. You guys should go. Eddie and Rome look at each other, should we?
We can't go.
Well, check out who decided to suddenly act like a human.
Ta-da! Also, the tickets are in John's office.
Gina elbows Gary. Go get them. Go to the game. You know John wouldn't want those tickets going to waste. The guys look at each other and nod. That is what John would want. And you two, stay and help me finish off the food. And by food, I mean the wine.
I'm in.
Love it.
Interior John's office, Ashley's outer office later. Still in suits, the guys are with Ashley, who stands next to her desk. The office is empty except for Ashley, who, even after her boss's death, diligently carries on. Eddie is taking the lead.
And so anyway, we wanted to be in his space for a little while, get some closure, let the reality of what happened sink.
You need the tickets.
Yep.
As he beelines to John's office, Ashley smiles at Gary. He turns back to get one last look at her. As they enter, interior John's office continuous, Rome whispers in Gary's ear.
Shut it down. John specifically said don't have sex with her.
And we're sure he was talking to me.
They both laugh until they look up and see something. Police tape blocks off the balcony. It's ominous. We see them take this in, frozen. It makes John's death real in a way that the casket and the funeral didn't. Ashley walks in. They look up at her with a deeper appreciation of what she has been through. They now genuinely take in John's space. They gather around his desk, which remains untouched. On it, they see John's empty dry cleaning box, still there from before, the empty cufflink case, still open, John's shirt hanging on the back of his chair. They witness this life interrupted.
He dressed up for it.
They stand there, stunned, like everything in his life. John meticulously planned this. Eddie turns to Ashley, who is clearly still very shaken up.
Do you have any idea why he did this?
What do you mean?
No, I'm sorry. I just thought, you were with him all day.
I didn't know him like you guys did.
Eddie and Rome nod. Makes sense. Gary looks at Ashley, clocking her response. Rome picks up the picture of John with Delilah and the kids, again experiencing up close the pain he almost caused.
He loved them. I mean, he could have been home more, but he loved them.
As he sets down the photo, Gary sees John's BlackBerry. He picks it up. He tries to unlock it, but you need a password. He holds the phone out to Ashley. She hesitates.
He's still my boss.
I won't look. Put in the code.
He's not asking her, he's telling her. She nods and complies.
We'll see. There's some things you know that we don't.
She glances over to Gary, who breaks their gaze only so that he can go through the phone. Still protective of John, Ashley watches over Gary's shoulder as he navigates to the call log.
He was on that business call for a long time.
46 minutes, 10 seconds.
Better close the deal, though. He did, actually.
But that wasn't the last call he made.
Yeah, it was. When I came in to give him his mail, he was just ending the call. He had his victory face.
He made a call right after that.
Surprised, they all look to Gary.
To you.
Gary turns to Eddie, and we
And
And-
Act 3.
Uh-huh.
And on to Act 4, which is Tamir narrating.
Act 4. Interior John's office, where we left them. Gary, Eddie, Rome, and Ashley stand there, stunned. 12:27. John made a call to your cell phone. Eddie looks at John's face.
He must have gone to voicemail. Yeah, noon, Mondays. I teach a guitar lesson to this kid, Talbot, during his lunch hour. I turned my phone off. It rang during a recital once. I yelled at the parents, which was fantastic when it turned out to be my phone. He tried to call me.
Did he leave a message?
The only voicemail I got was from you saying he.
We see Eddie racked with guilt. Could he have done something? You can't do what you're doing right now.
But maybe he could have.
Don't. It's clear Gary has also been beating himself up with all of that what ifs. We need to get to the game. Anticipating like the good assistant she is, before he finishes his sentence, she's already halfway to John's desk drawer.
I'll get the tickets.
Exterior John and Delilah's patio, same. The women sit in front of a fire pit, drinking wine and eating appetizers.
I just like to give him crap. The date wasn't that bad. Gary loved it. He got laid.
Maggie and Delilah look up, surprised by this new information.
Her name was Veronica, I believe. Our waitress. Gary forgot his wallet, and he stayed behind to settle up.
They share a laugh.
And that date led to me meeting Rome, and Gary needed a shot of penicillin. Seriously, Gary is an amazing friend. Underneath that hot mess is...
A lukewarm mess?
They laugh again.
I never would have thought a guy like Gary would be the first man to truly understand what I'm going through.
A beat.
Were you scared?
Maggie doesn't look up. She just nods.
I see that in Gary. He tries to hide it, even though he's in remission. It's like he's afraid.
It's gonna come back.
Is it the same for you?
Maggie hesitates. Then
As much as I can be similar to Gary?
they laugh. Interior Cheevers? Later. A bar near the garden, named for the greatest Bruins goalie ever. The guys sit at the bar. A bartender pours 2 tequila shots and guns some Sprite into a third glass for Eddie. Gary is uncharacteristically full of emotion.
John.
And to the tradition he started all those years ago on that elevator.
I'm not drinking to that. I spent 40 hours a week valuing people's lives for insurance companies. Our time together isn't worth shit.
Dude.
Oh,
Gary grabs a bar napkin and starts jotting down numbers. Do the math. The average hockey game lasts 2 hours and 19 minutes, times 41 home games a year, for 10 years. Gary tosses down his napkin. On it is his calculation with 949 circled at the bottom. I sat next to John for almost 950 hours, and I didn't even know he was depressed. Did you? Their silence says it all. They didn't. The fact is, we don't really talk.
Yeah, we do.
No, Ed, we don't. The last time we really talked about something deep was on that elevator. We were more honest with each other before we became friends. Now we just sit shoulder to shoulder the way guys do. Hell, we're doing it right now, but we don't really know each other. We see on Rome and Ed's face, they're both keeping secrets. You probably don't even know what color my eyes are. You know what? I'll drink. I'll drink to whatever we thought this was. Gary downs his shot, throws a 20 on the bar, and crosses out. Rome follows, calling after him.
I think I liked you more with cancer.
Me too! As Eddie gets up, his phone rings. He looks at the caller ID and checks to make sure the guys have left. He has a nervous energy that tells us it's the woman he's having an affair with.
Hey, it's so good to hear your voice. I left you a ton of messages. Yeah, it's been a crazy couple of days. I need to see you. I'm going to come by after the game. No, I gotta go.
He ends the call abruptly.
You coming?
Yep.
As Eddie sets down his glass, Gary's words still echo in his head. He exhales and crosses out, clearly feeling the weight of this secret he's keeping from his friends. Exterior John and Delilah's patio later. As Delilah exits from the house, opening another bottle of wine, Maggie downs another leftover appetizer.
Regina, even cold, these things are delicious.
Jean is the best. Thanks again for making all the food.
I didn't do it for you.
Maggie looks up, surprised by the comment, but Delilah knows what she means.
No one was more supportive of my cooking than he was.
Delilah smiles.
Do you have your own place?
I did. I opened a restaurant with this other chef. It must have been 7 years now.
Before
Go.
we all met.
I put everything I had into that place. Worked 7 days a week. Poured all of my life savings, borrowed a ton.
The reviews were amazing. Everyone loved the food.
But the lease was crazy expensive. We rented way too big a place. We didn't know what we were doing. One of the first times I saw John was when he helped me get out of the lease. I barely knew him. He was doing it more as a favor to Rome. Anyway, to thank him, I made dinner for everyone that night.
Wait, there was a clip of that in the video Rome showed at church today.
And because of John, I'm not giving up. I mean, I'm still a chef in somebody else's restaurant, but I'm gonna open up my own place again someday. And this time I'm gonna do it right.
Delilah has listened to the whole story and smiles.
Grab your coats.
Oh, I'm so glad you said that. It's freezing out here.
No, we're taking a road trip. I need to show you something.
Now? What is it?
It's the last thing John did before he died.
Regina and Maggie look at each other, then immediately get up and follow Delilah. And we end of Act 4.
Act 5. Interior Boston Garden, security entrance. Tickets in hand, Gary and Rome stand in line to go through the security. Eddie catches up.
Hey, look, Gary, I know you like to go dark, but I need this to not be as horrible as it is, because I keep thinking that maybe I could have done something.
Gary lifts his arms to be wanted by a security guard.
Like what, Ed? Like if you had hugged him one more time, he'd still be alive? Are your hugs that magical? Who the hell are you?
Eddie lifts his arms up to be wanted.
Apparently, someone who's more in touch with his emotions than you are.
Everyone within earshot is now staring at them. Then, enjoy the game.
Thanks, should be a good one.
Interior Boston Garden, escalators. Moments later, the three ride up the escalator. It's still tense.
Maybe John dying is a wake-up call. It's like he always said, everything happens for a reason.
Are you kidding me? So what? Our friend dies, but if we live better lives, then he didn't die in vain?
Well, maybe. Yes.
Well, I have news for you, Ed. We're not going to live any differently. You hate your fucking job, but you're not going to quit because directing those asinine pizza commercials pays too much. And you hate your fucking wife because you can't leave her because your non-existent job doesn't pay anything at all. People always say they're going to live differently. And we will for exactly 2 weeks. And then we'll go back to doing the same shit we always do.
Gary steps off the escalator, leaving them to lick their wounds.
I'm in love with someone.
Even Ed is surprised by this admission. Gary and Rome turn around.
And I didn't tell you, but if John's death has taught us anything, it's that we need to stop with the secrets and start being honest with ourselves and each other.
He stands there in silence for a beat.
Who is she?
She's the mom of one of my students. We didn't mean for it to happen, but I love her. She believes in me, and I'm gonna leave Catherine. I just need to make sure Caleb's okay.
Interior Delilah's SUV. Delilah drives. Regina sits shotgun. Maggie leans in from the back seat. Delilah, laser focused on a mission, speeds up to make the light. Cars that have the green light start to go. Careful, 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 careful!
It was yellow-ish.
Maggie looks to Regina. Is she okay? Regina nods. Sweetie, where are we going?
Ashley told me that the last thing John did was close a huge real estate deal.
Of course.
I want you to see it.
Delilah's tires screech as she takes a quick right turn. Interior Boston Garden, top of section 1. Now in the arena, Gary, followed by Eddie and Rome, walk down the steps towards their seats.
Look, I'm glad you're getting out of a marriage that was more toxic than anything I've ever had in my body. And if you want to credit ending something that should have ended 2 years ago to our friend jumping off a concrete diving board, then
It's not just that. I haven't had a drink in 7 years because that same friend stepped into that elevator.
enough with the stupid elevator crap. Newsflash, Eddie, if I hadn't become friends with the three of you, you know what I would have done? Become friends with 3 other schmucks. Look around. There are a lot of Bruins fans here.
A drunk fan passing by overhears this.
Dude, this is our year.
The fan forces a high five on Gary and stumbles off.
Okay, so maybe I wouldn't be friends with just anyone.
Gary continues walking to their seats. Eddie and Rome follow.
How does the guy who beat cancer not see that maybe there's a reason things happen?
Eddie has touched the third rail.
First of all, God didn't cure my cancer, science did. And second, it's not that I don't have cancer, it's that I don't have cancer right now. That's all clear screening out this week just gives me permission to hold my breath for another 3 months. So it turns out I might still get ball cancer.
Finally, at their row, Rome and Eddie take their seats, but not Gary. He's frozen looking at something. We see what it is. The aisle seat, the one we saw in the flashback. Only now, John isn't in it. It's empty.
Damn it, John. You had everything.
Starting to come apart, Gary turns to Eddie.
Everything happens for a reason. Really, Ed? Tell me one good thing to come from this. One thing.
An intense moment as Gary and Eddie stare each other down. Eddie has no answer. But then Rome, looking straight ahead, speaks.
When you called me to tell me about John, I was about to kill myself. Technically, I'd already started. If you hadn't called to tell me about John, I'd be dead now.
Rome starts to cry, relieved to have finally told his friends. Again, Eddie and Gary look at each other. Now, it's not a stare down. It's a what the frick? What do we say? What do we do? With nothing to say, Gary does the only thing he can do. He puts his arm around Rome and gives his friend a hug. Rome cries harder, so Gary just squeezes harder.
I know it's ridiculous because I have a great life and I'm married to the most amazing person ever, but sometimes I feel so hopeless. It's like I can't breathe, only I am breathing. And I think maybe if I stopped, it wouldn't hurt so much.
As Rome cries, Gary turns to Eddie. He offers a look. I'm sorry. Eddie is right there with his look. You simply don't have to say anything. Gary gives Rome another squeeze. Still looking straight ahead, Rome says.
And for the record, Gary, your eyes are blue and they're magnificent.
As the guys share a laugh, we see that even though he's gone, their friend has given them the kick in the pants they needed. Exterior downtown street, same. The women get out of Delilah's SUV. She walks them across the street to a beautiful old building with historic Boston charm. Wait, this is it? John's last deal was for the old Kodak building? Delilah smiles and nods as they approach. Regina's excitement has them stepping up their pace. This place is incredible. And on part of the bottom floor, there's this great commercial kitchen space.
Yes, there is. The perfect size. That's why John fought so hard to get it.
Regina looks at Delilah.
Gina's is opening spring of 2019.
We see this land on Regina. She looks at Delilah. Really? Delilah nods. This was his last deal? For me? Why?
He'd been working on it for months. He didn't even mention it to Rome. He wanted to surprise you.
The two friends start to cry. This was obviously always supposed to be an emotional moment, but now it carries so much more weight. Even Maggie can't help but well up. But I can't afford this space.
Trust me, the least John got you, you can.
As they laugh, cry, we interior Boston Garden. Later. Back with the guys, we hear no sound, just a cover version of Tracy Chapman's Change. A man is singing and it's beautiful. This whole scene is shot from behind the guys, giving them privacy. We just watch them together, laughing, loving, trying to move on. This time it's Gary who extends his arm and gets a selfie of them, sitting shoulder to shoulder, different in so many ways from the photo they had tried to take at last week's game. Apparently tonight has made Gary see the value of their time together. Gary snaps the photo. As he puts away his phone, careful to not be detected, Eddie reaches for his and texts. Exterior undisclosed location. The song continues. Close on a cell phone as the text comes in. A woman's hands looks at Eddie's texts. Delayed here. I'll explain later. I love you, E. As she lowers her phone for the first time, we see her face and we discover what Gary, Rome, Regina, and Maggie and Catherine don't know. That the woman Eddie has been having an affair with is Delilah. She exhales deeply and covers with that Jackie O resilience we have witnessed the whole episode. But now we realize there is so much more going on. It seems each of these friends is carrying secrets that need to be shared. As we cut wide, we see where she is, inside the commercial kitchen space that will soon be Regina's new restaurant. It needs work, but it is the perfect size for success.
Gina's.
Maggie has poured wine into 3 glasses. How did?
Pour out the wine and the glasses.
Love her. Delilah puts her phone away, smiles, and grabs a glass. The 3 friends clink glasses and toast Regina's new beginning. Interior Rome and Regina's house late that night. Rome quietly enters. He sees Regina's purse. She's home. But he looks upstairs and sees the bedroom light is off. He quietly crosses over to the kitchen bar and sits down at his computer. The pile of videotapes are still out from when he compiled the video for John's service. He looks for a tape. He can't find it. It must be here. It is. He puts it in the camera and hits play. Video clip, a black screen. The lens cap comes off, catching a tight shot of John in a suit sitting on the floor leaning against the wall in an undisclosed location.
Say that last part again.
I was saying that as bad as this seems, I truly believe everything happens for a reason. The challenge in life is to find that reason.
We see Rome look at his computer, taking this in. He's clearly heard these words before, but now they have new meaning. Interior 24-hour Walgreens, same. The place is empty except for an older custodian mopping the floor. Gary enters and passes by looking for something. He spots it. He pulls an 8x10 frame from the shelf, then two more. Exterior John and Delilah's house, same. Tight on the front door. The porch light comes on. Delilah, in a bathrobe, opens the door and is surprised to see Eddie on her front steps.
Hey,
You can't be here.
She looks over her shoulder to make sure they're alone.
You can't be here. We can't do this, not now. What if he knew about us? What if that's why he did it?
Their biggest fear has finally been said out loud.
there's no way he
Maybe that's why he tried to call you.
As she says this, we realize Eddie knew John had called. Exterior John's office balcony flashback. No sound, except the sound of the guitar from the song. John stands on the balcony, ending his business call. He scrolls through the favorites on his phone. He presses Eddie. Very calmly, he puts the phone to his ear. Interior hotel room, same. An elegant hotel room. Eddie and Delilah lie in bed. Postcoital. Eddie's phone rings. He looks at it. It's John.
You should answer it, just so.
Oh, it's okay. I'll call him from the car in 5 minutes.
Exterior John and Delilah's house, where we left them, back with Eddie and Delilah.
He didn't know.
Maybe. But I know. I know what we were doing.
Just then, from inside the house,
Mom? Oh, please.
Eddie looks at her. He's never needed anyone so much.
Tell me you don't love me and I'll leave right now.
She pauses just enough for him to know she does.
If you love me, you'll leave right now.
With that, she closes the door, leaving him standing there. Interior undisclosed location several years ago, Rome's footage. The clip of John continues.
Look, sometimes what happens is shitty, and I think what good can possibly come from this?
Interior 24-hour Walgreens, night. With 3 frames in hand, Gary passes the guy mopping and approaches the photo counter where a saleswoman, late 30s, blue vest, puts photos in envelopes. Gary smiles at her. She smiles back. Interior Maggie's apartment, night. Maggie comes in from a late night jog, sweaty, out of breath, alive. She puts her keys down and checks her cell phone to see if she got an email from Gary. She has a missed call and a voicemail. She plays the message as she takes a drink of water.
Maggie, it's Dr. Gordon. You missed your appointment today. If we're going to beat this thing again, you have to stick to our chemo schedule. Call me first thing. I need to see you tomorrow.
We realize that, unlike Gary, Maggie's cancer has come back. When she said people have secrets that their friends don't know about, she was including herself. Interior Eddie and Catherine's house, night. Eddie walks down the dark hallway. Everyone is asleep. From behind him, we see him set Catherine's briefcase at the door, a thoughtful gesture. On the table, we see Eddie's phone. On the display, it says, "One new voicemail, John." He picks up the phone and puts it in his pocket. He can't bring himself to listen to it. As he turns around, we see he's holding a brown bag. He pulls out an unopened fifth of vodka. He crosses to the cabinet to grab a glass, but as he does,
Hi, Daddy.
Eddie turns and sees his son standing there in his pajamas, smiling up at him. Eddie tucks the bottle behind his back.
I just wanted to get this.
Caleb holds up the miniature hockey stick Eddie bought him after last week's game. Everything does happen for a reason. Interior, the 24-hour Walgreens men's room night. Gary and the saleswoman burst through the door, making out. He backs her up against the sink. It's on. As he goes to unhook her bra, he catches himself in the mirror. He stops. He backs off her and straightens his shirt and vest.
I'm sorry. I can't.
She nods. She gets it. It's okay. Interior, John and Delilah's walk-in closet night. Delilah sits at her makeup mirror, taking off her earrings. As she opens her jewelry box, she sees something. It can't be. She looks over her shoulder to confirm she's alone and pulls out Eddie's necklace. We see it on her face. She's not the one who put it there. But who did? She breaks down. Interior, John's office night. Ashley sits at John's desk, illuminated only by the light of his computer. The blue envelope next to her. She types Rutledge in the search bar. 12 files come up. She highlights them all and hits delete. Interior, undisclosed location several years ago. Rome's footage. Back with John.
But as bad as things may seem, there is good. And you will find it.
John offers his trademark smile. Rome zooms out, revealing Eddie and Gary sitting next to John. They're in an elevator. This is the day they met.
Everyone back away from the door. We're coming through.
The camera shakes as Rome scrambles to his feet. As a firefighter enters, the camera turns one last time back to John, who smiles, satisfied. On John's smile, we go to black. Interior, Rome and Regina's kitchen continuous. Rome stands there, taking this in with a peace we haven't seen from him so far. He closes his laptop and heads upstairs. Interior, Maggie's apartment, night. Maggie hears a knock at her door. She cautiously opens it to find Gary standing there. She looks at him. What is he doing here? From behind his back, he presents her with a case of Charleston chews, decorated with a red drugstore bow. She smiles. He smiles back. Interior, Rome and Regina's bedroom night. Rome quietly enters to find Regina laying with his back to him, asleep. He takes off his scarf and puts it in his jacket pocket. As he does, he feels something and pulls it out. It's 2 sheets of yellow legal paper. His suicide note. What the hell did he almost do? He quickly stuffs it back in his pocket. Fully clothed, he gets into bed and spoons Regina. Putting his arm around her, he exhales and kisses the back of her neck. Her hand moves ever so slightly and grabs his. He squeezes. Interior, Eddie and Catherine's garage, night. The camera pans across the garage. As it passes the workbench, we see the bottle of vodka unopened. It continues to pen until we finally find Eddie sitting on an old couch, playing Change on his guitar. He's the one we've been hearing, and he's amazing.
And if you saw the face of God and love, would you change?
We see a different Eddie, determined to finally start living. Next to him sits Caleb, nestled in the safety of his dad's arm. No matter what happens, these two men are there for each other.
Would you change?
Would you change?
Father and son look at each other and smile. Exterior Rome and Regina's townhouse, night. Holding his phone, Rome opens the front door. He looks around. There's nobody there. As he looks at his phone, we see a text he got from Gary. Look outside. He looks around again. Nothing. As he starts to close the door, he looks down and sees something. He bends down and picks it up. He smiles. It's a framed picture with Gary's trademark red drugstore bow. It's the selfie Gary took earlier tonight. Rome, Eddie, and Gary at the Bruins game, sitting together, shoulder to shoulder. Next to them is the empty seat. Rome finally got his picture.
If you knew that you would die today, if you saw the face of God and love, would you change? Would you change?
Their faces say they're different now, forever changed by their friend. As we close in on the photo, we end of show.
Wow. That's there's a lot going on there.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to take a 5-minute break, and if anyone wants to stay and talk about it, we can. I know some of you are on the East Coast and it might be a little late, so it's optional, but I'll be back in, see, it's 41 after, so if you're not staying, that's fine. We don't have a script yet for next week, but we'll probably do another television episode since we're having some small cast issues right now, so I'll pick one of those up, probably one of the ones that we pulled on last time. So we'll see how many characters they have and then put that up for an event. So our next reading's April 2nd, I believe. So
Okay,
to see
thanks. I'm
everyone.
actually have to go, but I really enjoyed it, you guys. Thank you.
it was fun. You guys are great.
It is
Thank you for
interesting.
joining us.
It
Mhm.
was
Have to
fun
go
to see
too.
you.
Yeah,
Bye.
thank you, everyone. Have a good night.
You too.
Bye.
Are you two gonna stick around for a bit? Are you, Vicky, Heather, are you gonna stay around for it, or do you need to leave too?
I'm waiting to hear what Heather has to say.
I know
I'm
Heather's
getting a
gonna-
little tired, but are you staying?
I don't have all that much to say. I really enjoyed the read. I didn't know the show before, and I could follow it. It was well, I cried, but you know I cry.
I think it was very shocking, like friends that really didn't know each other, and it took a shocking event to actually get them to be better friends. And I guess that's the nature of people. It takes shocking events, earth-shattering events, to get people to connect better with each other, and that's reality, I guess. Like, you know
Yeah.
how I don't know, I guess, you know, COVID brought people closer together, and tragedies often bring people closer together and help them to understand each other a little better.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
at the
also,
ending too. I didn't see that coming.
No.
tragedies also teach people what they lack in themselves and what they lack in terms of the relationships around them.
Yeah.
Pretty deep.
I know, I'm so deep. I'm sorry.
Well, no, this is a very deep script. I mean, you know,
Yeah.
it's meant to be a television, you know, periodic serial. It goes on for several seasons, I believe. I've never seen any of it.
I've never heard of it. I just
never
thought it was
heard of it.
interesting.
Yeah.
I
But
had heard of it, but I hadn't seen it. So yeah, very powerful.
yeah, those ensemble casts, you know, everyone's got a little bit going on, and everyone has a little bit going on behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, very true.
I think this should, like something like this should teach us that we should never forget to care, and we should always just take a moment to care. It doesn't have to be a great, big, grandiose moment. It just has to be a little moment. And because we never know what little moment of care we show another, what will make a difference in somebody's
Yeah.
life, even if it's just a little hug or a smile or a hello or just, hey, I'm thinking about you. We never know what will make a difference in somebody's life. And trying to be a
yeah,
difference in somebody's life will always strengthen us and make us remember that we are valuable and that our life is worth living as well. So
I know there's always a number of times when someone will come up to me and they'll say, like, Kat, you said this thing way back there. You probably don't even remember saying it, but it made such a difference. And I'm thinking, I don't even know who this person is, you know. But yeah, it's just sometimes you just don't know, how what you do or what you say impacts somebody, and
Yeah.
years later, sometimes you find out, most of the time you don't. So, you can only live as honestly as you can and hope
Yeah.
that it makes a difference. Because, I've always said that I've always heard that if you're still alive, it's because you're not done making a difference yet, and it might not be the difference you were expecting to make or hoping to make, but, in the grand scheme of things, if you're dead, then whatever it is that you were supposed to do on this earth, you did it and you're done, you know, but it's a,
Yeah.
it's a very interesting way, I think, of looking at life anyways, but yeah, this script makes you think a
Yeah.
lot.
Think and feel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's
and
so
it also
sad in
teaches
places.
us, oh sorry,
Oh, go ahead. That's all I
it
have to say.
also teaches, like, we never know what impact our decisions or our words or whatever are going to have on somebody else, so we need to be wise.
Yeah.
We always need to be wise.
And kind.
Yes,
Kind
kindness,
important.
life may not be easy to living may not be easy, but kindness is always easy. Showing kindness to ourselves and to others is always easy, even though living may not be easy. So
Well, I think it's hard for people to show kindness to themselves. We're
yeah.
always taught to, be nice to everybody else, but very few people get taught to also be nice to themselves. And that's a hard one, I think, for many, many people to not say,
It is, yeah.
it like when someone pays you a compliment and you're like, oh, it's nothing. But it's not nothing sometimes, but
Yeah.
you pull it off like it is. And it's
Well,
very hard to accept the
that's
compliment.
true. Sometimes people don't feel like they're cared very much about, like that John dude. Maybe he felt like, oh, nobody cares about me. And he had just had it. And like, nobody cares about me. I don't matter. So I'm just going to go do this and take myself out of the equation because I don't matter. Because he knew what was going on behind his scenes. He knew what was falling apart in his life. He was aware of it and he couldn't do anything about it. He felt he couldn't do anything about it. So he took himself out of the equation. And it's really sad that people do that because we don't take the time to show that we care, because we all bear responsibility for each other and loving
Yeah.
each other as we are. And we need to do that more because we really don't do that enough.
Yeah. We feel that we're being selfish or um, we're being vain, or, we see it as a negative. But when we start with being kind to ourselves and loving ourselves, then we are able to be kind and more loving to others. Like it follows suit. And I think we were meant to. It's somehow through teachings, it feels wrong to do that, but no, it isn't wrong at all.
The other thing that caught my attention on the script was where and how many of the actions and descriptions, where they fall. So like at the very beginning, there's an awful lot because you have to introduce everybody, especially being the pilot episode. And then when you get into the sort of the meat of the story, it's almost all dialogue. Like Act 4, there's so few actions and descriptions. And then at the very, very end, there's almost no dialogue. So like
Yeah.
I kept thinking that it should end now, but then there's another scene, and there's another scene, and there's another scene. but no one's talking. You just have to see, like you see Gary buying the photographs, and you see Eddie playing the guitar, but you don't really hear them talking, and I wonder if that's so that people have chance as they're watching it to think in their heads, so they don't have to listen to the dialogue. They can just think and reflect as the show is coming to a close. That I don't know. That's just something that occurred to me, that maybe that's why they did it that way, so you can see all of these things real quick.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, it would have been different for it to be visual. Yeah. Yeah, it makes you maybe want to see it, to see what it's like to actually visually see it instead of being the one reading it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it was a good one.
Well, again, like that whole scene thing you described, just to show that I'm listening to you. It's called perception checking that I learned in college. It goes back to how every decision we make or that is made in the universe impacts somebody else. So we need to be wise with the decisions that we make, because we never know how that's going to impact somebody else, whether it be our decisions or our words. We need to be wise and responsible and loving and patient and all the, I guess, in a religious sense, Christ-like. So yeah, and it's not easy to love each other as we are, because everybody's different. Some people are difficult to love or understand, or some circumstances are difficult to find joy in, but we can do it. We can have a positive impact on other people and on the world if we really want. We're all capable of it. It's just a matter of choosing it.
Mm-hmm. Well, and the other thing I've learned about choice is if you make the wrong decision, well, then life is going to come back and smack you in the face and say, well, let's try it again. Now you have another opportunity to make the right decision, and sometimes it's a very different opportunity, but
Yeah.
if it's going this way, and there's always ways to go back and around, and you don't always get to the same spot the way you intended, but
or with the case of Eddie, he has to live with the decision he made to have John's wife and ignore the call. He's probably going to, I haven't seen the rest of it, but he's probably going to deal with the guilt, even though people told him not to. That's just the nature of people. If like people carry a lot of guilt within them for things that they were not involved in or even involved in, they don't process guilt like all at once. It takes a while, and they process it personally, and that's how it is. Like, I'm sure he's going to think, what could I have done differently? Am I worthy of life because I had a hand in this?
And Rome left that suicide note in his pocket.
Oh yeah, people will find
he
that.
didn't throw it
What the
away.
hell did you do?
So I'm thinking someone's going to find it. Maybe Regina, maybe somebody else. But he might have changed his mind, he told the guys, but he didn't tell her. So that's obviously a setup for something coming up the line.
And he told the guys, he was vulnerable with the guys, and who knows, maybe in a moment of anger they'll throw that back at him, and that's kind of what people do to each other. Unfortunately, they throw vulnerabilities at each other, and that's really sad. But I just hope that there's opportunity for people to be of more help to each other, because we really do have
world.
Yeah, we do have the opportunity to be there for one another and care for one another and love each other, just like this script shows. But if we miss the moment, we never know what kind of impact that's going to have. We should always keep our mental and emotional phones on and our hearts open and our minds. We should always keep ourselves aware. And if we see somebody or feel like somebody needs help, we shouldn't ignore that feeling or ignore what we see.
Yep. I think it's a good note to end it on, unless you guys have things.
Yeah, I'm sorry if I talk too much.
Oh no, that's fine.
You don't. No.
You don't talk
wrote
too
a lot
much.
of things. I wrote a lot of things about mental health and my own depression during lockdown, and I just have gleaned from that so much. I was in a very depressive state, and I just learned so much from having nobody there to help me really, except my own spirituality. So I don't mind being able to pass these lessons on. If you want to read those essays that I wrote during lockdown, message me on my social medias.
Cool. All right. We'll get another event up soon, and hopefully we'll get Ashley to join us too. She was just got the date and time wrong apparently. So
Yeah, we'll have her
we
in the
missed you.
future.
We missed you.
Well, don't forget to turn the recording off.
Oh, good idea. Yep. All right. So it'll pause. It'll turn. I'll just turn it off right now. So good night. I'll say good night to everyone.
Good night.
Good night.
See you soon.
Be safe.
Bye.
Love.
Okay. Perfect. All right. And then we'll just end when I turn this off anyways. So, but
Good
hopefully
night.
you too.
Bye-bye.
Good night, you two.